This is Jesse with the Improbable Podcast. Freddie Freeman coming at you.
There's one free agent out there for the Braves, Freddie Freeman.
He is a dangerous man.
And long gone by Freddie Freeman.
Is this happening? It is. The Atlanta Braves are world champions.
Freddie Freeman's left the yard and put the Braves on top.
That is a monster match out of Freddie Freeman.
A thing of beauty for number 5.
If you don't want to get benched this season, don't strike out. Hit that like button, swing at the subscribe button, and hit a home run on that notification bell.
Been in this organization since 2007. You went through some lean years, some crazy times this year, and now you are a World Series champion. What does this moment mean to you?
I don't know, Ken. I'm at loss for words. This is it. This is everything you worked for. I mean, we're in November right now. We've been doing this since February, and we've had so many ups and downs this year. And for us to be world champions, Ken, that is awesome to hear.
6-year, $162 million. Braves were clearly not wanting to go that long. Jim Bowden joins us here. Jim, as our CBS Sports MLB insider, what more can you tell us about how this deal turned out for Freddie Freeman and the Dodgers?
Well, as you know, Freddie Freeman has a home both in Southern California and Atlanta, and I think it was really intriguing all along for him to go home and be in Southern California. I think that played a big part in his decision. You know, the Braves tried to bring him back. I know a lot of people said that they wouldn't go to 6 years. My understanding is they did go to 6 years. But at the end of the day, Freddie Freeman did not give them an answer when the lockout occurred. And when the lockout ended, he wasn't ready to commit to Atlanta. So they pivoted and they went to Matt Olson, which made a lot of sense for them. And for Freddie Freeman, this was an easy decision once Atlanta went to Olson. Going to the Dodgers, going home to Southern California where he grew up made a lot of sense. And look, Freddie Freeman last year hit 331 homers, 83 RBIs, won a world championship. This is a player that's won the Silver Slugger Award in the National League at first base 3 straight years. He's been top 5 MVP 3 years as well in his career. But more importantly, let's look at the Dodgers team, right? They lost Corey Seager, and although they wanted to retain Seager, the fact of the matter is they didn't want to go 10 years. They didn't want to take him from age 27 to 37. Yet, in the case of Freeman, they're willing to take him from age 32 to age 37. But they like the bat a little bit better. This is a guy that hit 300, as we said, 31 homers, 83 RBIs. Great defender at first base. More importantly, he's a leader. He's a winner, does great charity work. And like Corey Seager, this guy is an October player. He likes the big stage, as we saw when they won the World Championship. So it's a really good fit for LA. This allows Max Muncy, who's coming back from his elbow injury, allows him to DH or play some second base or play some left field or third base. Max Muncy can now move around the diamond. But to have a Gold Glove caliber first baseman in Freeman and the type of hitter and leader he is, great fit in LA, great sign.
Yeah, when you take a look at this Dodgers roster, I mean, there's 4 to 5 Hall of Famers on it. You could argue there's more, and Freddie Freeman certainly Hall of Fame caliber. The fact that he now with the universal DH is huge because, like you said, he'll play a lot of the games at first base, but when he needs a day off, Jim, they'll just slide him into DH. But the thing is as you said about Max Muncy, they got a guy that can play right behind him, and it's almost as if they're so deep at these positions that are critical. Freddie Freeman's sort of like the cherry on top in terms of getting them over the hump. What does this mean for the Dodgers as they go into opening day as the favorites to win the World Series?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure they're the favorites to win the World Series. I think the Braves and Mets have a lot to talk about that. I think the Dodgers still have to address the starting rotation. I love Buehler, I love Urias. I don't know what's going to happen with Kershaw's elbow. That's a big question mark. Tony Gonsolin's a young kid still developing. I don't know what the back of the rotation is going to look like, and I think that's a big question. Remember, they haven't even brought back Kenley Jansen yet to close games, and they lost Joe Kelly, and they lost Corey Knebel in the bullpen. So I think the Dodgers have some pitching issues, but they don't have any issues position player-wise, as you know. And when you have an MVP in right field and Mookie Betts, and you have an MVP in center field and Cody Bellinger, now you have an MVP at first base in Freeman, and you have an MVP caliber player at Trey Turner at shortstop. I mean, certainly, look, this team is loaded with hitters, with power, with speed, with defense. Position players are good enough to win another world championship like they did in 2020. But the big question on this team is going to be, do they have enough pitching? And when you look at the elite teams in the National League, you know, you're talking about the New York Mets that are running out there, Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett, Carlos Carrasco, and Taijuan Walker. You talk about the Atlanta Braves with Max Fried and Charlie Morton and Ian Anderson. I mean, you got to pitch to win. So as great as this Freeman signing is, which it is, don't get me wrong, and it's a great AAV deal, which, by the way, the AAV higher than Olsen, but the year's less than Olsen, so the total package less. But at the end of the day, I think Andrew Friedman needs to take a deep breath along with manager Dave Roberts and work on the pitching staff if they want to get back to the World Series in 2022.
Well, the guys playing behind the pitchers, all-star caliber, which is where the all-star game is this year in Los Angeles. And don't be surprised if 4 or 5 of those guys are playing right there in the Midsummer Classic. You mentioned Matt Olson, which is, I'm glad you brought that up, because will this deal for Freddie Freeman be tied to or compared to Matt Olson over the years?
Yeah, there's no doubt it's going to be. And look, Freddie Freeman is going to continue to be an all-star caliber player for, I think, probably 3, 4, 5 more years. I think this contract will age well. I think a 6-year deal made a lot of sense for Freddie. You know, you may have some decline when you get to year 5 or 6. On the other side, for Matt Olson, I think at the end of the day, Olson over the next 5 years will be the better player. He's got more power. He's a better defender. I think he'll drive runs in, having Acuna and Albies and Riley around him in the lineup. So it's a good fit for them. And remember, Olson's 4.5 years younger than Freeman. So Atlanta's going to do really well here. I think it's the sentimental loss of Freeman and the fact that they just won a world championship that's going to be hard for Braves fans initially. But once they see Olson, they're going to love him. He's a Georgia native as well. And for Freeman, right, he's a Southern California native. So it's going home for him. And I can't see a better fit for Freeman than the Los Angeles Dodgers for every reason. Not just because he's a complete player, but he kind of represents what the Dodgers are all about on and off the field with their professionalism. So I love the signing by Freddie Freeman, and I think it's going to play well in L.A., and I think Olson's going to do well in Atlanta.
Look, I hear what you're saying there, that he's from L.A., he's from the area. But we've seen guys switch teams, right? Especially veterans, former MVPs. How do you think he's going to settle in initially on that roster? Because this is a much different roster. Now, granted, the Braves were a very talented roster. They won the World Series. But a lot of that team wasn't very veteran-laden. This team has a little bit more veterans on it, some more star power. How do you think he settles in to that starting 9 and then in the clubhouse? And I know he's a huge leader in the clubhouse. But how do you think he settles into a new place in L.A.?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it'll be seamless, right? I mean, I think when you're a 300 hitter with 30 homers and 80 RBIs, you just won a world championship and won 3 straight Silver Sluggers, it's going to be an easy transition. And remember this, and this is the key. Freddie Freeman is going to a team that's going to have Mookie Betts and Trey Turner hitting ahead of him in the lineup. I just want you to let that marinate for a minute.
It's ridiculous.
Right? We're talking about Trey Turner, who's one of the best players in baseball, that hits 300 with power and steals bags. Mookie Betts, who's won MVPs. Granted, he's coming off a down year. He'll bounce back. He's going to be on base. Freeman is going to be up all day long with men on base. And this is a guy that uses the whole field. He loves the opposite field. That's going to work well at Dodger Stadium. I can't imagine any scenario where Freddie Freeman doesn't have a great year. And we didn't even mention that Justin Turner and Cody Bellinger and Max Muncy will be hitting behind him. I mean, I got to tell you, this Dodgers lineup right now, it's filled with all-stars. It's filled with MVPs. hard to argue about this lineup. It's now the best in the National League.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A 6-year, $162 million deal for Freddie Freeman to go back home and play for the LA Dodgers. Jim Bowden breaking down for us here on CBS Sports HQ. Jim, thanks. So Freddie Freeman heading to LA, and the odds to win the World Series are in the Dodgers' favorites. Vegas picking LA to win the World Series at plus 500. They were plus 600 to win the World Series before Freeman signed, so their odds shortening here with the signing as Freddie Freeman heads back home to play for the Dodgers and an all-star lineup.
Hit that like button, swing at the subscribe button, and hit a home run on that notification bell. Thank you for watching the Improbable Podcast. Have an incredibly awesome rest of your day.